Hi, I'm Mike, founder of GoodBed.com. Today we're going to be taking you through the features and functionality of the Nectar adjustable base. Now, Nectar is a super popular brand of mattresses. This is their adjustable base. It's got a number of cool features at an affordable price point. We're excited to show it to you. Stick around. All right, so let's start by talking about what we call the elevation features, which is what controls moving the head up and the foot up, which is really kind of the heart and soul of the functionality of any adjustable base. And in the case of this Nectar adjustable base, it does have, as you can see here, head up functionality, foot up functionality, and it's also got a number of pre-programmed positions that you can access, as well as customizable positions that you can access with a push of a button, and all of that is controlled through this wireless remote functionality. So let's take you through kind of what the options are here on this remote for controlling this adjustable base. For starters, of course, you've got a button here for head up and head down. Then you also have a parallel button for foot up and foot down. Holding that button will elevate, let's say if you hold the head up button, it will elevate the head until it reaches its max position. Now, its max position, by the way, is about 55, 60 degrees or so. One of the higher elevations we've seen, I'd say, in general, in the head up capacity. From flat to fully elevated in the head is 30 to 35 seconds. For foot up, that's probably about 20 seconds to go from flat to fully elevated. But again, it's controlled the same way. You have to be holding the button up or holding it down, and as long as you're holding it, it will be moving until it reaches its maximum or minimum. Now, these two buttons in the middle here are kind of a unique feature we don't see all the time, which is it puts the head and foot up at the same time, or the head and foot down at the same time, as long as you're holding it. So that's a nice feature rather than just sort of, putting the head up, waiting, and then putting the foot up, waiting. You can just kind of get to the position you want more quickly that way. But speaking of getting to the position you want to be in quickly, let's talk about these pre-programmed buttons as well as the customizable buttons, because that's really what they're designed for. We'll start with the pre-programmed ones. There's 3 pre-programmed positions right up at the top of the remote, all of which you can access with a single touch of a button. You don't have to hold it down or anything. So the first one is TV, which is a position not too dissimilar from what I'm in right now. The head's up, the foot's up, but it's designed, to be kind of optimal for, at least in most people's mind, for watching television. The second position is what they call anti-snore. Now, this is a very subtle elevation. It's only in the head, the foot stays flat, and it's probably less than 10 degrees of elevation, but it's just designed to kind of open up the airways just enough to stop you from snoring. So you can either access that position. Let's say your partner starts to snore, you might want to hit that anti-snore button. It'll take it up to that position, or if you are kind of prone to snore, maybe you even just want to sleep with it in that position, particularly if you're a back sleeper or something like that. So that's your second button, and then your third pre-programmed button is labeled with ZG. It stands for zero gravity. This is a position where your head and feet will both be elevated, but much more subtly than what I have here. It's just designed to kind of take pressure off your lower back. That's the premise of that zero-G position. But now, what you might find is that those 3 positions, either maybe that's not your exact favorite position to watch TV in, or maybe you've got a different variation of zero-G that you prefer, or maybe you've also want to have a position for kind of working on your laptop or eating in bed or what have you. That's what these 3 customizable buttons down here are for, and setting them is super simple. Let's say I wanted to save this position that I'm in right here under memory 1. All I do is, now that I'm in this position, I hold the memory 1 button down for about 3 seconds or so until you see the lights of the remote flash real quickly, and then you know that the position has been saved into memory. And that's really as simple as it is. And now from that point forward, anytime I want to get into that position, it's just a single touch of the M1 button and it'll take me to that position. And the last button, elevation-wise, that you should know about is a button that's super handy. It's called the flat button. It's right here in the middle of this lower row here. And that does exactly what you'd think it does. It just takes the whole base to flat. And once again, you don't have to you don't have to hold it down. You don't have to be on the base at all. You can just press the button and it'll take care of the rest. So the next set of features we're going to show you here relate to massage, and that's really like the next biggest family of features that this Nectar adjustable base does come with. And there are some cool aspects to the massage capabilities of this base. But for starters, we'll just explain that there are 2 massage motors on this base, one up at the head about here or so, and one down at the foot around there. And they are they operate independently, and you can control them independently through this, again, through this wireless remote. So I could turn head on, I could turn foot on, and I can run them both at the same time, of course. They each have 3 speeds, which I can cycle through simply by pressing the button again. By the time I press it the 3rd time, I'm on the highest speed. Then I press it again, and then that turns it off. The 4th time turns it off. Same thing for the foot button. So 3 speeds at both head and foot. But now, in addition to the 3 speeds that I mentioned, you're also going to have different modes. So they call them sort of normal, pulse, and wave. So the normal mode is just sort of a steady vibration that we've got going here. But if I want to switch to modes, all I do is press this mode button, and now I can switch. The first one it will cycle to is this pulse. So it's just coming like every second or so. And then, of course, I can still cycle through the speeds. Now, it really doesn't feel as much like speed. It's not changing the frequency of the pulses. It's more just changing the intensity. So as I go to the 3rd one, it's a much more intense pulsation there. And then the 4th one, again, turns it off. The last mode is what they call wave. It's always going in some level, but then it like kind of goes up and down in its intensity. It's just like a sine graph kind of going up and down. So it really does kind of emulate sort of a wave-like feature. And again, you can operate both the head and foot on this same intensity or this same mode. So you get definitely a much more rich wave type sensation when you've got both the head and the foot operating in that same sort of way. So there you go, there's the modes. And then of course there's a button here to turn all off. So I'll press that, everything stops. Now another feature that's pretty cool that uses that same button is a timer feature. So let's say you don't want to have to press that all off button to stop your massage features. Let's say you're planning on just kind of dozing off to the kind of relaxing massage. You can just press this timer button before you turn the massage on, and we'll actually cycle through 3 options there as well. A 10-minute, a 20-minute, and a 30-minute. The 30-minute is signified by both the 10-minute light and the 20-minute light being illuminated at the same time. So once you've selected the time that you want, then once you turn the massage on, it will be on that timer. And then of course, if you can cycle through, the 4th option again will be that neither of the lights are illuminated, and that means you're not using the timer feature. You can turn the massage on, but it won't be on a timer. So, but nonetheless, that is certainly a handy feature for being able to just sort of not have to worry about your massage running all night long. Next, we want to just touch on a couple other cool features of this remote. Number one is this flashlight here, which you can control through this flashlight button. So it's real simple. You just hold the flashlight button down, and this little light lights up at the end of the remote. It doesn't look like much with the light on, but with the light off, it's kind of just the right amount of light that it's going to give you more than enough light to be able to see where you're walking, but not so much light that's going to create a bunch of disturbance for someone else who might be sleeping in the room with you. So that's a super handy feature, help you get your midnight snack or what have you. Then the other cool feature we wanted to show you on this remote is that it's backlit. So it works basically in the dark. You're not going to have to memorize where the buttons are or do it by feel. It's all just lit up for you. It's the second you press any of the buttons, they will they'll all light up. So that's another really good feature. One other techie feature that we just wanted to point out is that this base does come with 2 USB ports right here on this side of the base, which is a pretty handy feature for obviously charging your phone or your Kindle or what have you. The one thing we do want to point out is that the way this is designed, the devices are going to plug kind of directly in from the side here. So if you are planning on using this base with kind of a sleigh bed type of configuration, presuming that sleigh bed is tall enough that it actually goes up above or to or beyond the level of the base itself, which is about 15 inches in this standard configuration, then you may or may not find the USB ports too useful. It may be just too hard to get the plugs in. But for anyone who's planning on using this without any kind of furniture going around it, should be no problem. The next thing you're probably going to want to know about is the height of this thing. And this is actually another thing that is adjustable with this base. The manufacturer talks about having legs that are 4, 6, and 10 inches. I think it's a more relevant way to think about it is how high is the actual platform? As you can see here, we're showing it at full height. It's about 15 inches. So if you want to know about how high your bed is going to be, that's just going to be 15 inches plus whatever the thickness is of your mattress. That's kind of the most relevant statistic for most people. But that is not your only choice. You do have the choice of making it shorter than that. Specifically, you can have 15 inches, you can have about 12.5 inches, or you can have about 8.5 inches. So again, I'm giving you stats for what would the height of this platform be from the ground. 15, 12.5, and 8.5. The next thing people want to know about as it relates to height is how much room is going to be under the bed. They want to store things under the bed or what have you. Well, it looks like you've got about 10, 11 inches, but that's a little misleading because this is not what they call a zero clearance base, meaning it could just operate on the ground without any legs at all. The reason it's not zero clearance is because, like most bases, there are some mechanisms that operate kind of below this level. So in other words, when the bed's going up and down or what have you, some things dip below this level, and that's why they need to have at least some amount of legs. But what I can tell you is that you're going to have at least 6.5 inches for sure that you can use and never have any issue with anything hitting it. Maybe a little bit more than that, but I can definitely guarantee 6.5, just knowing the fact that I can subtract out these legs and I know it doesn't hit the ground. So I can guarantee 6.5 for the whole length of this thing. And you're probably going to have more than that in a lot of other parts of the bed. There's going to be certain places where if you go too far beyond 6.5, you're going to have mechanisms that might be needing that space. And the other thing I would add about the height and the legs of this thing is that there actually are 6 legs on this thing. And by the way you control the different heights is simple. You just unscrew, like the legs are essentially 3 cylinders, and you can just unscrew the cylinders that you don't want to use. And so you can really kind of mix and match the legs in that way. But the fact that there are 6 legs instead of 4 just gives the base a little bit more stability than the typical adjustable base. So now let's get into how this Nectar adjustable base is going to integrate with whatever other furniture you want to have around it. And the 2 questions we get asked about most with adjustable bases are headboards, as well as the kind of bed that goes all the way around the perimeter of the bed, like a sleigh bed or something like that. Now let's take the headboard first. There's no way that we see here to connect a headboard to this base, at least not in the conventional way with that kind of just sort of screw hookup piece. That being said, of course, if your headboard is capable of standing upright on its own, there's no reason whatsoever why you couldn't just have this base operating right up next to your headboard, so functionally or aesthetically it just looks like it's connected. In terms of the kind of sleigh bed type variety, this is specifically designed to just drop right into any furniture of that ilk. Specifically, you can see here that the dimensions of the base are really exactly in line with whatever mattress it is designed to hold. In this case, we're showing it on a queen, but because the dimensions they don't exceed the dimensions of the mattress, you can be confident that it can just drop vertically right into that piece of furniture. And as long as that piece of furniture doesn't have a bunch of stuff going across the bottom, there shouldn't be any issue with any interference with the moving parts of this either. Likewise, as the parts move up and down, they do not go outside of the kind of envelope of the mattress, so you shouldn't have any issues with that. But I would be remiss not to mention the fact that this is not a base that really needs to be covered up per se. In fact, it is specifically designed, to be a piece of furniture in its own right. You can see here they've covered it in a nice gray fabric. It's got kind of a nice neutral coloring. This is something that you would see, by the way, even if you do have it inside of a base or inside of a bed frame, for example. When you elevate the foot fully or the head fully, there's a good chance that you'll end up with a peek at this anyways. But it is fully designed to be seen as a piece of furniture of its own. Another thing that people want to know about an adjustable base is how much noise does it make? And this is a base like any other base that has moving parts, and those moving parts are powered by motors that make some amount of noise, as they do in every adjustable base. What we can tell you about this one, let's take the massage first. In the case of the massage, we found that the massage motors are pretty similar, pretty average level of noise at the lowest speed, but by the time you get to the kind of the highest level of intensity, they're probably a little louder than the average massage motors that we've tested. Probably not a big deal, but if you, for example, are someone who's really gung-ho to use the massage a lot, and maybe your partner is super light sleeper, we just wanted to make you aware that maybe that highest setting could be just a little bit loud. Likewise, if you've got downstairs neighbors, you're putting this bed on a hardwood floor, that highest massage setting might be something that could disturb downstairs neighbors. But other than that, we'd say the massage is pretty in line with average adjustable bases that we've tested. In terms of the elevation features, we would say that those are very much in line with other adjustable bases. They're quiet. In general, the sound of an adjustable base elevating is relatively minimal. I mean, your spouse is more likely to be awoken by the change in elevation than the sound that it makes, if that makes sense. Maybe it's equivalent to the sound that your refrigerator makes when the cooling cycle's on or something like that. Otherwise, it's not something that you particularly would be disturbed by, certainly not when you're awake. Another question we often get about adjustable bases is weight limit. And the weight limit on the Nectar is 1,000 pounds, which would include the weight of the mattress as well as any sleepers on top of it. Now, they do stipulate that that limit is designed on the weight being evenly distributed across the mattress, which of course it never is exactly, but nonetheless, you can imagine that even with a 100-pound or something in that range mattress with 2 sleepers, it's going to be more than adequate for the vast majority of people. It's also worth adding that if you are getting their split king configuration, where you're going to have 2 twin XL mattresses side by side, even if you've got those paired up working as one, that weight limit should be higher, because essentially you've got double the number of motor power working for you, and so you should have more than just that 1,000-pound weight limit working for you. But for a single person or a single mattress working with a single base, think of it as a 1,000-pound weight limit. One thing people sometimes want to know about is, what is this bar down here? And this is called a retainer bar. Every adjustable base has some solution for this issue, which is that as you elevate the head of an adjustable base, it creates obviously like a tendency for the mattress to want to slide in this direction. So you need to have something down at the foot of the bed to make sure that the mattress stays in place. In this case, it's a retainer bar. This is probably the most common solution where it's just holding the mattress in place. So it has no other feature than that. Just wanted to explain what it's there for. In terms of the price of the Nectar adjustable base, it does come in a variety of sizes, although not in every size. So let's specifically focus on the ones it comes in. Twin XL is the current price of that before any good bed discounts are applied would be $649. The full size price would be $699. The queen size would be $799, and the king split size is $1298. Now, I say king split because that's what you need to get if you're going to try to use this with a king size mattress. But what you're actually buying is 2 twin XL adjustable bases that we will operate side by side, which essentially match up when you take two twin XLs and you put them side by side, that essentially equates to the same size as a standard king. So you can either use those bases independently to operate two twin XL mattresses right next to each other, which you can put inside of a king size sleigh bed, for example, or you can operate them together as a single unit by simply pairing them up. There's a pairing sequence you can follow that will allow you to pair them up such that they will operate as a single unit. They will go up and down together. They can be operated with a single remote. In fact, either remote should operate them. But essentially, that would be what you'd do if you were trying to use a single king-size mattress with those two bases. So the price of that king split is, of course, just essentially double the price of a twin XL. So one of the things we wanted to do in this video is give you a sense of what it's like to actually receive and set up this Nectar adjustable base. And so we're obviously shooting this before we've even opened it up. This is exactly how it arrives in this box. We are told, by the way, that it is a one-person job to set this thing up, so we do take that as a challenge. I'm going to try to do that here right in front of the camera. But also I should just add that moving this thing from wherever it is that they drop it off to wherever it is that it's ultimately going to live is definitely not a one-person job. This is a queen size. It weighs about 149 pounds. So it is definitely at least a two-person job to just get it to the place where you need it to be. But in terms of the actual setup, we're just going to here open it up and see how it goes. All right, so this was interesting. We got the base all assembled, but then had an issue with getting it to actually function. We were pressing buttons on the remote, nothing was happening. So we flipped it up and actually just contacted Nectar customer service, and actually they were super responsive. And I should add that it's after 6 o'clock West Coast time, PM. So we were pleased to see that they were responded immediately. They gave us a little hint as to how to reset the box. The problem we were having was that this box that all the cables go into, that kind of powers everything and ultimately hooks up to, plugs into the wall, just I guess wasn't working. And so they gave us a little tip that I'll give to you, which was that if you have this situation, they had us press head down and foot up on the remote at the same time and hold those down while someone else presses the reset button on that box. And that made a little bit of a sort of a chirpy sound, and then ba-boom, everything at that point worked. So now I can just flip this over for you. All right, so now you can see everything works. So head up, foot up, the massage features, they all work. Just in sum, the process of assembling this that you saw us do took about 30 minutes, not bad at all. It was pretty straightforward. I just followed the instructions that they provided, which are simple. It's mostly a matter of just kind of screwing a few things in, plugging a few cables in, and then plugging the whole thing into the wall. The one part I would say that I did want to have two people, ideally, was flipping it over. Probably could have done that with one if I had to, but felt much better doing that with two people. But all in all, pretty straightforward. Three things that are going to be important anytime you're buying a big bulky object like this online are delivery, return policy, and warranty. In the case of delivery, Nectar offers standard free delivery on their adjustable bases, and that is to your doorstep. Now, we did show you earlier, it's a pretty big, heavy item. You're probably going to want to have a couple strong people to move this to your bedroom or wherever it's going to live. That being said, Nectar does offer white glove delivery on this product as well as an option. You can have for $149, they'll have people come bring this all the way to your bedroom and actually do all that whole setup thing, take it out of the box, get it all set up and working for you, and ultimately remove the packaging even. That's $149, and if you also buy a Nectar mattress, The white glove delivery charge on a mattress would normally be $149 as well, but in the case of combining a mattress with an adjustable base, it only adds $45, so you'd be under $200 in total cost to have a full setup in your bedroom, base and mattress. So we certainly think that, particularly in the case of having an adjustable base, which is a little bit more of an involved process and a little bit heavier item to move around, we think it's probably going to be a good choice for a lot of people to go with that white glove option. In terms of return policy, Nectar actually does offer a return policy on this adjustable base, which is really rare and very generous. They offer a 50-night in-home trial and free returns, is what we've been told. So we would just encourage you, because this is something that we so seldomly see with adjustable bases, that if you are planning to make a purchase of this adjustable base and are kind of doing it based on that return policy, just reach out to them, hit them up on the chat on their website, just to make sure that, and kind of just confirm that there are no costs that you might incur in returning this mattress. Overall, we think that is a very generous and noteworthy policy here. In terms of warranty, Nectar offers a 3-year warranty on this base, the first year of which is fully comprehensive. So if anything is to go wrong with the frame or the electrical parts, the motors or what have you, they will replace or repair that free of charge to you, presuming it is due to some kind of defect or what have you, a normal warranty type of event. Beyond the first year, what is covered is the steel of the sort of structural support unit of this. So if there were to be any defects that revealed themselves with that steel portion of the frame, that would be fully covered for the entire 3-year period. So just to sum up some of the things we've covered in this video, the Nectar adjustable base is an adjustable base that you can order online and have it shipped directly to your house. We talked about how it's got a range of elevation features, including moving the head up and the foot up both independently as well as together, with a pretty wide range of motion, especially in the head up position. We talked about how there are 3 pre-programmed positions that the remote is programmed with, as well as 3 customizable, fully customizable positions that you can easily program to whatever your favorite positions are. We talked about how it has some pretty sophisticated massage features, including a multi-speed, multi-intensity type features that you can operate in the head, the foot, independently or together. We talked about how there's also 3 different modes of massage, which is something somewhat unique in terms of sort of pulsing, wave, as well as just sort of a steady vibration. And they also talked about how there's a unique timer feature on this massage that allows you to specifically turn that massage feature on for a set amount of time, 10, 20, or 30 minutes. We talked about how all of this is controlled through this wireless remote, which has a variety of nighttime type features, including backlighting as well as a flashlight that allow you to operate this in the dark. We talked about how it has a couple of USB ports on the side of the mattress. We also talked about how you can choose from 3 different heights depending on your preference, and that it is both designed to work well without any furniture as well as to work with most any furniture that you may have or desire to have in your bedroom. And uniquely, this is a base that does come with a return policy, which is something we don't often see. And all of this is at a price point of about $800 in a queen size. So we hope you found this to be a helpful overview of the Nectar adjustable base. For more information on how to find the right mattress or adjustable base for you, go to goodbed.com. In the meantime, we thank you for watching and we really hope you sleep well.